afternoon to everyone and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today for this extra special website launch. My name is Zaida Ventor, and it's my pleasure to be able to welcome you to our event and to introduce you to the team that has brought the early career researcher to where it is today. So on this team that has contributed to the early career researcher, we have our team lead, Dr. Renelle Lee Piggott. She is a lecturer and researcher, a published author, and has focused on the areas of school leadership, school improvement, school culture, and education privatization. She's also a featured speaker, higher education institutional evaluator, and consultant. And also joining us on the team, having worked on this project for some time, Deborah Lee Matthews, who is an adjunct lecturer in cultural studies, an experienced cultural worker, and a current PhD student with her research interests related to Caribbean theater. Also on the early career researcher team is Georgette Medford, a school leader, educator, and published author in the field of ICT. She already holds an MSc, but is pursuing an MPhil in education and is really passionate about education, learning, and research. I too, like Debbie, I'm a PhD candidate, and I'm also a school principal and education consultant. And my areas of interest are school improvement, professional learning, and mathematics. So this website that we're here to launch today really came to germinate around 2020. And I'll share a little bit about the story of how it came into being. Around that time, Debbie and myself, we were PhD student reps, weren't we? Yes. At the University of the West Indies, representing our various faculties in those graduate student rep groups. And in the course of connecting virtually around the onset of the pandemic, we noticed that the loneliness that we felt, the separation that we felt from a wider community of students was worsened by the pandemic. We felt disconnected even more and talked about wanting to find a community that we could be a part of. Talked about wanting to network amongst other people who were just early in their career as researchers. And around the same time, Renelle, Dr. Lee Piggott, had connected with us. She and I had been working on another project, and she too, in talking to her students and to others, thought that more could be done about providing support and networking opportunities for fledgling researchers. So from those early discussions amongst us three, we wanted to do something. We wanted to move from that feeling and from that desire and that wanting to actually act and to actually put something into the world that could help with those challenges that many people were facing as young researchers. So we went from the talks and the discussions to an idea. And the idea was to create a blog, post it on a website that could serve as a hub for early career researchers, younger research professionals, to serve as a meeting point for ideas, for inspiration, etc. So a year later, the website was born. And we'll hear a little bit more about what is actually on the website in a moment. And a year later again, having had lots of challenges along the way, as life will have it, under our team leader's stewardship, we are here today to formally launch the site. So what we'll have next is a little introduction to the various components of the site. Renelle will give us a little walkthrough, and you'll get to see there a little bit more about our purpose, a little bit more about the target audience, as well as some of the content that's hosted on the site. After that, Debbie will give us a little walkthrough of some of the actual posts that are on there and share a bit about our social media platforms. Georgette will give you some information about how you can contribute, how you can get involved, how you can support our work. And then we hope after today's taster, you will get in touch and help us to keep the work of the early career researcher going well into the future. So with that, I'll pass across to Renelle to start us with a little bit of a walkthrough of the website to take our launch into reality.
Thank you so much, Zaida. So what I will do, I will start with sharing my screen to the website so that we can go through. And just as Zaida said, just a little bit about what this website is about, yeah? So we have, as our main activity on this website, as you heard from Zaida, we are interested in blogging and vlogging about advice and tips on becoming and being a researcher. Certainly in the future, we will think about other events that, early career researchers can benefit from, such as, ECR huddles and webinars and so. But essentially, the purpose of this early career researcher website is threefold. So to assist in the construction of personal and collective research identity through a sharing of knowledge, experiences, and ideas that will shatter those feelings of researcher imposterhood, and so essentially we want to learn together from each other, from established researchers, and from other experts associated with academia. So from time to time, we will invite persons from whom we can learn from and grow together. Another purpose is to assist in the development of world-renowned researchers through a community that learns and grows together. In many of our societies, particularly in the Caribbean, we often hear the notion of persons not being ready for research and not using research findings. So there's a lack of a culture of appreciating research findings and using those to inform the many decisions and so that we need to make for nations, economically and for our developments. And so a key purpose of this website is to develop those researchers as well as those research communities and research cultures, through our community here. Our target audience, in essence, are, of course, is firstly early career researchers, junior researchers, postdoctoral researchers within their first maybe 8 years, 7 years, depending on who you ask, from the point of obtaining their PhDs. We also target postgraduate student researchers, persons doing their master's degrees, MPhil degrees, PhD degrees, doctoral degrees, and anyone else, of course, interested in developing as a researcher. Yeah. You would find when you go through the website that our content in terms of the regularity of the posts, we have regular posts that are monthly, and then we have spotlight researcher posts, and I'll go through those in a bit. The length of the posts you will see are rather short, so we look to roughly 500 words max. So we don't want anything too long that will, bore anybody to death. Of course, as researchers, we do have loads of material that are lengthy enough. And so if we need some, tips and advice, and so that shouldn't be too lengthy, right? Then, of course, our site presently features 10 categories of themes. And I'll just, list them for now. We have discoverability, funding, intellectual property, networking, publishing, research agenda or niche, research impact, researcher identity, supervision, tenureship. And of course, we will invite anyone who's willing to contribute in other areas that are related to research that can benefit the early career researcher. Yeah. So just to jump to our website, and I trust that my screen is being seen.
Yes, and yes. It looks great.
Wonderful. Great. So This, of course, is the slider. We have the early career researcher. This is our little running theme, developing your researcher identity together. And of course, you have the tabs running across that, of course, the homepage, about us, blog, researcher spotlight, upcoming events, contact us, which are replicated at the end of the page. But of course, we have the featured posts that you have here. These are the most recent ones. And of course, they will change as we add a new post monthly, as I indicated earlier. On our homepage, we have featured our researcher of first, spotlighted researcher, Professor Lancelot Brown, and we're very proud to have him. And, you know, he was really very willing, and we thank him for agreeing to do this. Certainly, to find out more, you just simply click, and Deborah, I know, will go through and help you through all of that. Yeah. Then we have upcoming events, blog with us, our impact, because it's quite new. Some parts are not developed just yet, but certainly we will get to that as time goes along. Yeah. So this is just a brief introduction into the site. I will hand over to our moderator, who will pass you on to Deborah, who will give you a taste of our blog posts and so thus far. Yeah, so thank you so much.
Definitely. Thank you, Renelle. Excellent job there of providing that overview of what this project is geared towards delivering to all participants. And now we really look forward to seeing a little bit more from Deborah about the posts that are available and some of the social media platforms that we engage with.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon as we launch the Early Career Researcher website. I'm going to take us through today. Let me share my screen. Okay, share my screen. Okay, everyone seeing the presentation on my screen, right?
Yes, we are.
Yes, looking great.
Okay, so again, thank you very much for joining us today. Just to reiterate what Dr. Lee Piggott just said, our aims with the ECR Hub are to assist, to construct, and to contribute. So we aim to assist in the development of world-renowned researchers through a community that grows together, to construct personal and collective research identities through mentorship that will shatter feelings of imposterhood, and to contribute to the development of research communities and research cultures internationally. So when you peruse the Early Career Researcher website, you'll find content that spans from creating researcher communities, which hone personal skills through developing networks, and posts on encouraging self-development through step-by-step processes which demystify the path to becoming an efficient researcher, and details on upcoming events where we will have an opportunity to benefit from knowledge transfer from experts and to socialize and to network. One of the main highlights of this hub is our researcher spotlight, where noted academic researchers will share nuggets of wisdom, pearls of wisdom, as Zaida put it, right? And the person that we have presently highlighted is Professor Lancelot Brown. And I'd just like to play a short clip of Zaida's recent interview with him. Hopefully this will play.
Certainly, I mean, what I hear from you is passion, because you just started to speak about the types of research that you've done, and I heard so much coming through about those interconnections between leadership and the impacts and outcomes within schools. So I know that if we wanted to, we could stay on that topic for the rest of the time.
True.
And I would very much like to, but unfortunately, we're just going to shift a little bit now to go
a bit more into how you would describe your researcher identity and whether you would say that identity has changed over time.
I will say yes. I mean, because the more you do research, the more you get competent and comfortable with the research, it's going to change. And also, society changes. So, therefore, what becomes critically important to know changes.
Right.
Also, is that as my skills develop, I was able to do different kinds of research, right? And even right now, I am about to start to do some, although I'm retired, to do some more.
Retired, quote unquote.
To learn some new statistical approaches to analyzing data. Because the
Fantastic.
field keeps moving on, and I'm not ready to step out as yet. I retire, but I still keep, because if I'm on dissertation committees, students themselves are moving forward, so I have to keep up with that. So in that way, I have really changed. I will maybe progressed in a way, but the research questions that interest me now are different to what would have interested me 10 years ago.
Right.
Also because as I read the research, some of those questions have been answered. Whether or not those with the powers to enact look at the research and see what the research says and do it is another question. But with me, as I do any review of the literature, I will say, okay, well, this has been answered. There's no need to go back to look for any new information there, or it's what you can add to the literature. Although sometimes it is important to go back and look at study to see, to confirm what was already found. Because as I said, society changes, people change, and what was relevant at one point may not be relevant today. So in that regard, I try to keep forward thinking and how should I put it? Yes, forward thinking and really looking at what is currently important to study.
Right. So in tandem with our aims to assist, to construct, and to contribute, we think that it's really, really important to personalize and to humanize established researchers in the field, because you would see Professor Brown and think, oh, it's Professor Brown. But when you sit and you listen to him speak and you understand that he started where we early career researchers are starting now, you think more along the lines of, oh, I can do this. Oh, this is possible. And oh, my voice is important to add to the already established canon. So I'm going to jump from here. I'm sorry, I just need to jump around just a little bit. I'm going to jump from here and to the website. Okay, to the website. So on the blog, everybody's seeing the website, yes?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. So on the blog, you would see that we have different posts up at present that speak to certain themes. So we have research, researcher identity, networking, tenureship, publishing, networking, right? So every part of the journey of a researcher from our early career, because I'm an early career researcher, right? So from our early career and into academia, we have content that speaks to every step that would help us get to where we need to go. And also by building community, let us know that we're not alone on the journey. The website is very easy to peruse, right? All the links that you would need are up top here. Every quarter, we will have a new researcher to spotlight. Like I said before, right now we have Professor Brown, who's human like all of us, right? And all our social media pages are linked down below. We are on 5 different platforms now. We're on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. So all videos that we produce will be housed on our YouTube channel as well as our website, right? I will post links to all our social media channels in the chat as soon as I'm finished showing them off. Yeah. So I'm encouraging you all to go to our social media, to follow us and to keep abreast with everything that we are doing at the Early Career Researcher. Yeah. So thank you very much. And back over to Zaida.
Excellent work there, Debbie. I really love your little cursor, avatar, knight and sword thing. It, keeps the interest. And I think also the website has a lot on there to keep our attendees' interest. So fantastic job, thanks. And we're moving on now to hear a bit from Georgette, who very busy school leader, educator, and like the rest of us managed to show that resolve to just keep this project going and to bring it to where it is today. So let's hear a bit now from Georgette about how supporters of our work may contribute to keeping it going.
Thank you, Zeta. Good afternoon to everyone, and thank you for attending our launch. If you would like to submit a vlog or blog post, suggest a topic, or recommend a researcher to be spotlighted, do reach out to us, and our email address is tecr.hub@gmail.com. That's tecr.hub@gmail.com. Or you can simply complete our content submission form, and the link will be provided in the chat. So we look forward to all your contributions. Thank you for your interest in the Early Career Researcher.
Short and sweet, like any school leader, right? Time is time, right? Excellent. Great job there, Georgia. Really appreciate signposting how folks can get involved. So we are going to leave a little time for questions, answers, comments. Before we do, I do want to say that we have a lot more to come on this site in the next quarter and as 2023 advances. So some future highlights for folks to look out for on this site will be hearing from Professor Gu from the University College London, who is the director of the Center for Educational Leadership. And she has already shared with us her pearls of wisdom, and you can look forward to hearing more from her in the next quarter. Professor Dennis Conrad, another outstanding leader in education and educational leadership. He too has agreed and has already completed his interview with us, and you can look forward to hearing from him. And soon to come, we'll have information to share from Professor Christopher Day, whom you may well know as a professor of education at Nottingham University. So look out for those future highlights, and we will, of course, be able to share updates with you as we move along. So I'd like to pause now for any questions that we may have. We, of course, acknowledge Dr. Besessa in the room, outstanding practitioner, leader in education across the University of Guyana, UG, and great supporter of educational research across the region. So pausing here for any questions that anyone may want to pose. And then I'd like to go to the creative team behind the project to maybe share with us just your one biggest takeaway from the journey thus far. I know I'm springing this on you. Yes, you can smile. I know you're not happy, but I'm still asking you. What would you say has been your one biggest takeaway from the journey thus far, from planting that tiny little seed and growing a really fledgling network amongst us 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, to where we are today? What might you share as your one biggest takeaway from that journey? So pausing here for any questions that may come, and then asking the panel, please, to share.
Thanks so much, Zaida, for that question. Yes, and for springing it on us. But I'm really happy to share that my biggest takeaway from this project, from us doing this initiative, is the power of teamwork. We have managed to do such an amazing job at bringing this from conceptualizing and thinking this through as an idea and moving it to reality. And the skill set amongst us, I am really just privileged, I would say, and blessed to be working with persons who are just skillful and really great at what they do. And we just come together and it's just fantastic work. I am just wowed by our teamwork. So thanks for that.
Excellent. Nobody would believe I just sprung that question on you, but well done. Yes. Would anybody else like to share?
I was giving Georgette a chance to go, but I think I'll go instead. My thanks for springing this on us, Saida, really. My biggest takeaway of the journey on this project thus far lines up with what Dr. Lee Piggott just said: teamwork, and the importance of community. Yeah. Like you said earlier on in the event, Zaida, the pandemic isolated us. It was hard being by yourself in front of a camera all the time, knowing that you can't reach out and connect with people. And now we have this hub where we are going to help people like me, people along their researcher journey. And we are also going to demystify a lot of what people think happens in academia by highlighting professionals in the field. Right? So that idea of coming together, not only our little team, but coming together in service of this greater good. Every time I think about it, it really just it overwhelm is not the word. I'm just really in awe of it, if that makes sense at all. So that is my greatest takeaway of the process thus far.
Excellent. In awe, definitely. Georgette.
Okay, I would like to echo the sentiments of Dr. Lee Piggott and Deborah. And I just want to add that I think that, resilience is one of the things that stands out to me in terms of getting an idea from conception to reality. And of course, the teamwork assists along the way with that. But just as you said, an idea is germinated, and then we move to 1 year has passed, 2 year has passed, and it gives a sense of accomplishment to see that we were resilient enough to overcome the challenges. Because oftentimes we hear persons talk about, it could not have been done because of X, Y, or Z. And I think that I also want to attest to excellent leadership in terms of moving our team along, keeping us focused, and just a general camaraderie, and adding to the point that Deborah would have made about a learning community. And this is what professionalism and academia is all about. And not only that, but it helps build us as persons, and it helps us, retain that human element along with everything else that's happening in this busy world. Okay, thank you.
Fantastic. I should spring questions on you ladies more often. And I know, perhaps Dr. Bissess has a question or comment she'd like to make as well. But in the meantime, you said about germinating there, Georgette, and for me, sometimes, we could get stunned into inaction because the task seems so big, right? Where to start? And in our case, we started small. It's a humble offering, really, to the vast international research community. But our humble offering a tiny little seed being planted, maybe it will grow into a hibiscus bush, in which case, you know, we'll have some pretty products, some flowers to entice and keep us pleasantly along our research routes. Or maybe it will grow into a mighty, I don't know, starch mango tree. I sprung this question on myself as well, evidently. Maybe it will grow into a larger starch mango tree and bear fruit and provide that pleasure and nourishment for generations. Or maybe even it will grow into a mighty silk cotton tree, which we know could spread its seeds and fruit for miles and miles around and to stand the test of time. And so we don't know yet where it will go. But I think that for me, the biggest takeaway has been our commitment to making whatever small actions we could to do something about the thing that was troubling us. And there's no progress without action. And so may this action then bear some fruit and we're able to take it forward. And then I think as well, in the era of the pandemic, as we all moved into online spaces, I think we all felt that as women of the global south, we wanted to claim some of that online space for our community, not just for the female community, but for the global south community as well. And may it be a platform for voices of all different kinds to say more about our stories as researchers and about some of the challenges that we face and how we can come together to overcome them. So with that, I would want to just check in the chat whether we have any questions or so to address. And if not, I would like to, oh yes, Dr. Bisasa, really pleased to hear from you.
Oh, good afternoon, everyone. Good evening, actually. I'm sorry, ma'am. I'm not in a space where I can really, put on my camera. I want to commend you all. If you're hearing me, are you hearing me? Yes, okay.
Yes, we're hearing you.
Commend the organizers, Renelle, Zaida, Deborah, and Georgette, for an excellent initiative. And I think going forward, it would be beneficial to a lot of early career persons. And we have, within the Caribbean context especially, we have a lot of early career persons coming up now, and they do need that guidance. And I think this is an excellent hub that can be used to help that process along. And maybe later on, as Zaida said, like the silk cotton tree, it will spread its seeds wherever it may go, even with the global south. I like Zaida that she spoke about the global south, because I just came from a conference in Honduras. And that was one of the issues I was talking to them about, that we when we think of the global south and research, we think about the English speaking part of it, but we don't think about the South when we talk about, like, for example, the Latin American countries. So I would want to make a little plug-in for that today, that when we think of the global South, we have to take into consideration the Latin American countries as well as the French-speaking countries. So that's just it. But well done, ladies. Give yourself a round of applause.
Thank you. And the commendation and encouragement from a stalwart such as Dr. Bisasa, educational leader, published author, and it really means a lot to us. Georgette used the word resilience, and we may know that Dr. Bisasa has led a team that is producing content and published work around that theme of resilience. And so we hope that our work will contribute to young researchers feeling more resilient and staying the course. And I love the direction that you're taking us in terms of capitalizing not just in terms of an intellectual community in the global south, but remembering our geography, because we do sometimes tend to forget our Spanish speaking neighbors and allow the language to become a barrier. But we maybe have to make a shift too in terms of broadening our horizons by acquiring other languages. I know we all are fluent in English and Trini dialect, and it's time to take it to a third if we haven't already, and to really make the second national language part of our intellectual activity. So with that, we'd like to just bring a few comments now in closing and in thanks. So on behalf of our team here today, I really do have to say some heartfelt thank yous to the people who have gotten behind us. You know, I also have to say that although our gathering here today is small, we know that Caribbean people, you don't have to put two of us together to do some great things, right? So we have far more than just that two here together, and whatever gathering we have is enough to get the work done. So I want to say in terms of thank yous for some of the legendary folks who've gotten behind us in our little activities. Dr. Lancelot Brown, Professor Lancelot Brown, really grateful to him. Professor Tony Bush for his article. We do hope you'll visit the site and read what he's had to contribute. Dr. Paulson Skerritt for his contributed work, and Dr. Talia Esnard also for contributing to the blog. We have other contributors who have submitted articles who are going to be posted in future posts, and so we thank them for their commitment as well. The website, if you like the flow, the feel, etc. For that, we have to thank Mr. Kool Hussain, who was the website developer. And you may recognize the next young person's last name, Rashawn Pigott. I wonder who she is. Yes, so Dr. Lee Pigott's daughter, who a youngster, only in lower secondary school right now, but she marshaled her tech skills to help us in so many little ways. So in creating our favicon, our YouTube presence has a lovely banner, thanks to Rashawn, and of course, helping us with her video and photo editing skills. So we see that claiming this space calls for a community, right? And we need some of the youngsters to come along with us as well and assist us with a host of skills. We thank Dr. Bissessa for being here today and for showing her interest and her commitment. Here in Trinidad, I think we struggled a little bit with it being a public holiday. Many of our comrades must be on beaches or at family lives, and so it is at times. But we thank you for your commitment and for being here. And I do have to add that without Ronel's stewardship of this project, I really don't think we would have been here today in this way. I think we may have gotten there one day, much further down the road, okay? So we all had this idea, we all had the commitment, yes, but the person who has put the funding into the project, who has committed herself in terms of coordinating all of our efforts. All four of us are really busy education professionals, but putting the time into coordinating our activities, for being an advocate and going out there and soliciting and seeking contributions, really has been a forerunner for that, and for helping us to build this network. So we have to thank Ronel for her stewardship and for not just putting her funds where her mouth is, but for providing that leadership amongst a peer group. And for Debbie Matthews, who just, we met online. We haven't actually met in person yet, but we will soon, I am sure. But for her, what always strikes me there is authenticity. This authentic intelligence that just, it just comes. And I think for her, she brought that soul and that vibe that I think makes all of our gatherings really enjoyable and enlightening. And so I hope she doesn't run back off to Finland and forget about us here in Trinidad and remains with the hub for a long time. And for Georgette, being the busy educator that she is. Educators have to give every day in so many ways, and she still finds a way to have something left for us and to share her ICT talents and to guide us. And as we go along, we look forward to her contribution so that this little thing will grow and be sustained over time. So with those thanks, I would like to then bring us to a close by saying, having formally launched the site today, we want to encourage traffic to the site to allow it to do its work. So here are 3 ways that you, as a person interested in our community, can support our work. The first way is to visit and engage with the site and our social media accounts, comment and share. If you find something that's missing, let us know, because we're interested in finding ways to make the site better and to serve our community better. The second way you can help is to help us to make the site sustainable. Whilst we thank Renelle for her contributions, without which we would be here today, we want to make the site sustainable so it can grow into that silk cotton tree. So although we're currently self-funded via the team lead, we'd be happy to collaborate with recognized parties to sell specialized content that might be of value to our community. And that might be things like thesis services or coaching services. So do get in touch with us if you think a collaboration of that kind could be of value. We'd also be happy to collaborate with companies to provide affiliate marketing for education-related services or services that provide value to the intellectual community. So please do get in touch. And then finally, third way you can support our work is to contribute to your research. This is your place, right? This is a place where we're all equals together, connecting and sharing. So contribute your research to us or connect us to other researchers in your network. So in those three little ways, you can help us to keep this work going. With that, I wish everyone a very pleasant rest of the evening, and with special thanks for joining us, and wish you the best as early career researchers. Thank you.